All right. So you have your new book coming out, and I don't see the name listed here. So what's the
Yeah.
name of it?
Outdoor Adventure Guides Foraging.
Okay. And this takes place more or less in
All of
like
North America.
really? Okay.
Yeah. Let me see if I can kill my green screen here. Where would that under here? Choose virtual background. None. Okay, there.
All right.
Yeah, we'll just have boring green.
That's fine. I got a
But
closet
yeah.
door behind me.
Oh, oh. Do we have to reverse the
No, I can read it just fine.
okay. All right. It looks backwards for me. So
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, it just showed up in the mail yesterday. My 30
Nice.
advanced copies.
And that is supposed to be pretty much a survival guide for what you can and cannot eat.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's
And,
good.
and actually it's really designed for not going out deep into the woods on an expedition. It's for wandering around your neighborhood again. Oh my God, I can eat that.
Oh yeah.
And then how, and then it also has all sorts of cool recipes.
Oh man, does
You
it
know,
have
like,
dandelion tea in it?
I actually, let's see, I do have, yes. Somewhere pickled burdock roots, oyster mushroom quiche, lamb's quarter pasta. I got to think because
That's an old recipe.
Oh, we got dandelion friends and fritters. Oh, cleaver nettle horsetail tea.
Oh, there you go.
So
Yeah.
and then guidelines for going from there.
Good, good. Yeah, I was a scout and I hit Eagle Scout. So like this is really interesting for like because I remember just like, oh yeah, that's sassafras. Dig up the roots, clean them off.
Yep. There's a lot of that around here.
Oh yeah. Especially in Indiana.
Stuff. Yeah.
Like you can make clover honey if you know how to do it with the right cornstarch.
Oh yeah.
Rub it on some fish you just caught. Oh.
Now I'm hungry. It's lunchtime for me.
I know all about making food. I'm
cool.
Big boy.
Uh-huh.
I refuse to go hungry. It actually works well because of how a lot of like inflation is going to be hitting soon. So finding natural foods is going to be really imperative.
Not hitting soon. It's been, for the last 4 or 5 months.
We've been cowtailing it very slowly as much as we can. Like, no, there's no inflation. Pay no attention.
Nothing to see here. Yeah.
What do you mean there's food shortages? You're crazy. And yet we're sending so much somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that has really piqued a lot of people's interest in foraging.
Yeah.
Was the whole food security issue.
Right. I mean, I've got 15 chickens. I just picked up 8 more from somebody. Yeah. I'm going to be raising some more meat chickens to kind of supplement at least 2% of my food.
Yeah.
And so this is actually pretty neat.
Cool.
What would you recommend people to start with? Like if you were to give somebody an easy one, like what would you tell them to do?
So something that's really easy, really good for you, and found all over North America and really all over the world are pine needles.
I got 15 of those in the backyard. Yeah.
There we go. So you will never lack vitamin C. Pound for pound. Yeah, pound for pound, pine needles, all pinus species have more vitamin C than lemons and limes and oranges. The thing that you got to know is to get the vitamin C, you first have to really chop up and crush the pine needles. So you need green pine needles off the tree, crushed and chopped, because you got to rupture that cell wall so the vitamin C can get out. You do not want to boil them. In fact, you don't want to heat them over 184 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay.
Above 184 degrees Fahrenheit, vitamin C starts to break down and decompose. So you want to bring your water to a boil, take it off the heat, let it cool down for a bit, 3 to 5 minutes, and then throw your wad of pine needles in there. So for my canteen cup, it's a quart. So when I'm out in the woods, I'll bring a quart of water to a boil, take it off, and then I'll throw in a good egg-sized clump of crushed chopped pine needles, let it soak in the hot water for 15 to 30 minutes, strain it out, and then I have all the vitamin C I need for the day, because we can't store vitamin C, we can't produce vitamin C, we need it every day.
That's a good one. I'm gonna experiment with that.
Yeah. Well, and if you have 15 pine trees.
Yeah.
Okay. How big are they diameter wise?
Ooh, I think they're about 2 foot
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, they're about 2 foot around, but there's one in the back that's easily it's the size of me. It's 3.5 foot.
So another staple food of humans has been the inner bark of the pine trees, the cambium layer, the living layer.
Okay.
So kind of if you head east from where you're at in Indiana.
Yeah.
So eventually you hit the Adirondack Mountains of New York.
Okay.
That translates into the bark eaters. That was the name of the Native American tribe through the Adirondacks, or the bark eaters.
Right.
We were talking Boy Scouts in where I was in Boy Scouts in Minnesota. The same tree was there, the same pine tree, the white pine. In Boy Scouts, we referred to that as the bacon tree because the inner bark, so the inner bark roasted like in a cast iron pan over a fire, over a campfire, tastes like hickory smoked bacon.
Yep. And it was good just to chew on while you're hiking.
Oh, heck yeah. And like all across Europe and so forth, there are pine trees that are over 100 years old that they do a continuous harvest of the bark from. They do what's called a window painting, where they reach up about 7-8 feet, cut a horizontal strip 6 to 8 inches across, and then just a straight down the side, and then about knee height, they close it up again. So they make a big rectangular cut about 6 inches to 8 inches wide in the tree, and then peel off the bark from that section. They dispose of the outer bark. You can't do anything with that.
Right.
But the inner bark, the cambium layer, comes right off the inner deadwood real easily. From there, you start splitting it like string cheese. You want to get it down to the thickness of about a Pringles potato chip, or any brand potato chip that you like. But Pringles are pretty damn consistent in their thickness.
Yeah, they are.
So you peel like that. At that point, you can cut it into strips and roast it like bacon. You can drape it over a stick and brown it, or you can lay it in a cast iron pan. Other things that would be done with it is they would take these strips after roasting and then chop it up really fine, and then just eat it like a dry oatmeal, or better yet, because it does absorb some water, you really do want to make sure you're drinking a lot of water with it. Boil it into a oatmeal substitute. Or if you have the rocks, you can grind it down to a flour that will be a gluten-free flour, but you can still use it as a thickening agent, or to make flatbreads, or wherever you would use a gluten-free flour in recipes. So the main thing is that you don't want to go all the way around the tree, because if you do, take all the cambium,
it exposes it way too much.
Yeah. And also nowadays you want to paint over it. They make the landscaping paint to seal the wound.
Yeah.
But yeah, they would do, these 6-inch stripes 4 times, one on each side of the tree, each year doing one side. So from a bunch of trees, you take a strip. Next year, you take it from the east side, the next side, the north side, and the southwest side, and go around, and then let it sit for 5 years, or for 4 years. But calorie wise, it's between 400 and 600 calories per pound, which doesn't sound that much, but when you don't have access to a lot of calories otherwise, that's a good deal, especially if all it takes is a little work to peel the tree, and you can store it, all these sort of things. So it's really good.
I believe tree sap's a natural preservative too, isn't it?
Yeah, and very strong fungicide. The whole purpose of the tree sap is to prevent damage, or fungus from getting into the damaged areas, and killing the tree.
And I know goats destroy the hell out of them too. Oh man. Well, I used to have a couple of goats, and we had to put chain link fence around the trees because they would just tear them up.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah. Follow the goat. The goat knows where food is. They'll do pretty good for cleaning up areas too. They're ridiculous.
Yeah, they're used in some state parks down here, and probably other places, to remove large sections of poison ivy.
Oh yeah.
They can eat it, and it does. Yeah, it's interesting. Only humans are really affected by poison ivy. Everyone else just is a carrier.
We trade poison ivy for avocados at that point, because a lot of things can't eat avocados.
There we go. I'm good with that trade.
I'm not. I don't like avocados.
Oh, I love avocados.
Oh man, no, not for me. I'll pass. It's right up there with mushrooms.
I'll eat yours. Oh, another great one.
Nope, not for me. I'll look at a mushroom and be like, that's for rabbits. I'm not having that.
I don't know. So technically, or biologically, mushrooms are closer to animals than they are to plants.
Right.
They don't have the cell wall. They produce digestive juices. It's basically an animal that decided, I'm just going to sit here my whole life.
Yeah, they're strange things, and I don't like them. Look, if something can decompose a body in like a couple of years, I don't want it.
Okay.
But that's just me. I don't know. I don't like tomatoes
More for me.
either. Yeah. I'm weird. Mushroom tomatoes, I just don't really like.
Yeah, that's how do you do a pizza?
I mean, that's tomato puree. That's different.
Okay. I was worried there for a minute.
You got cheese on it too.
Oh yeah.
That's another thing, making goat's milk cheese.
Ah.
That's easy to do.
Now, what you need to do the next time you make some goat milk cheese, I teach multiple wild food cooking classes and medicine making classes.
Okay.
And one of the things I make is both the farmer's cheese and also a mozzarella style. So with rennet and without rennet, but wood sorrel, what everyone thinks is clovers or the shamrocks.
Yeah.
But it's the three heart-shaped leaves. Those are actually oxalis species. They have a nice tangy, lemony sort of flavor that goes excellent mixed in with the cheeses.
Okay. I don't think I have any of those there here.
I'm sure you do. They're all over the world. Yeah.
I mean, I just know we have regular clovers.
Yeah. You just got to get down on your hands and knees and actually look at them.
Yeah, that's true. I got them everywhere though. Yeah. It might be, it might not be. But how would you go about doing survival cheese?
Ooh, okay. So that's a great question. First, I would have to get a survival goat or a survival cow.
Right.
At which point it's really not survival anymore.
I mean, like, okay, so like, let's go with the homesteading process then.
Okay. Fig trees.
Okay.
The sap of fig trees works as a rennet. So instead of using the rennet taken from the gut of a calf, you can use a couple of drops of the fig sap to cause the curdling and cheesification of the water. Another great plant for this is stinging nettle, which I know you have up there.
Oh yeah.
It also has a vegetable-based rennet that will bring about the coagulation and curdification of the milk. Down here in Texas, you mentioned not liking tomatoes. We have a poisonous relative of the tomato called silverleaf nightshade.
Okay.
So it is a poisonous nightshade. But inside the seeds, there is a natural rennet. And so a lot of the early asada cheeses made down in Mexico were made using several of the seeds from a silverleaf nightshade to trigger that coagulation.
That's pretty amazing. Like, I love the history of this. This is great. There's not many nature enthusiasts I can find to come on, so this is great.
Oh man, like I said, I'm a preacher of cavemanosity and human nature interaction.
Yeah, good.
I think the world would be a lot better place if we spent more time outside just going, whoa, this is awesome. I can eat that.
Whoa, I've been saying for a long time to get the hell out of cities.
Yeah.
Look at you in Houston.
Well, the suburbs.
Okay.
So I do have, so my wife is a city girl. I'm, a caveman. So we compromise and went to the suburbs. But my backyard, it's 30 feet deep, 70 feet long. But over the years we've been here, I've converted it into what's called a permaculture food forest.
Oh,
so it's a self-sustaining ecosystem consisting all of edible plants. Normally they use more domesticated plants, but B&B went with the wild ones. So the last time I did
fun in that.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't done a complete inventory since 2014, but at that time there were 81 different edible and medicinal plants, wild plants growing in my backyard. And I know there's more since then. So, and it's easy to get if you attract birds without a bird feeder. So I would tear up some soil, put some branches for the birds to perch on, put a bird bath, one with water, one with some sand in it. And the birds come, they drink, they splash, they dust themselves, they go sit on a branch, they poop. And suddenly I got all sorts of new plants.
That is the smartest, lazy way of doing things.
I be like nature, be lazy.
See, I just got a board out in the back because I decided I'm feeding these squirrels. So I got a board sitting up on a tree and it's got two corn cobs on it that constantly feed the squirrels. Because we have some of the they're not fox squirrels, They're giant squirrels.
Oh,
I've got
gray
two of them.
squirrels.
Yeah, I got two of them around here. I don't want to get them to reproduce and fatten them up. So
because those are good eating.
If the shit hits the fan, I want a whole family of them out there.
That's every morning I go for a walk in the neighborhood and I throw peanuts to any squirrels I see. I'm building my squirrel army to follow me home, where they will be made into stew, most likely. But.
Yeah. I got about almost a full acre of land. Nice. So I've got pretty decent woodage behind me. And so I just constantly like, yeah, come critters, come closer.
I'm trying to think if I can mail you some like armadillos or something.
That'd be interesting.
Live armadillo.
Aren't they a little aggressive?
They're stupid. No, they're
like raccoons, right?
Mammal. Oh yeah, raccoons. Yeah, don't mail a raccoon.
I can get you a possum. I got one running around in the back.
Yeah, we got plenty of those too.
The
armadillo, they're basically these armor-plated goofballs that are just completely blind, have really excellent senses of smell, but ignore it. So you'll be like tromping through the woods and you'll see a couple of armadillos just rooting up things along the side of the path. And you'll go up to it and you'll like tap it with its foot and go, look around, and then they curl up into the ball like they do in the cartoons because they got this armored shell. And then it's like, wow, if I were mean, we would now be playing armadillo soccer, but I'm just gonna
sounds like a stupid armor-plated version of a woodchuck.
yeah
Tear shit up.
Exactly. Oh yeah, you don't want the armadillos in your gardens and so forth. They do the same sort of damage. They eat a lot of roots.
So, we got mole problems.
Oh yeah.
I got
snakes pretty much take care of those here.
Yeah, no, we don't really have a lot of snakes here, especially with the weather cycle being weird.
Yeah.
Like I'm used to seeing like rat snakes or gardener snakes every once in a while. We never really seen any coppermouths or
copper.
I think it's a rattlesnake. We used to have rattlesnakes around here, but they've kind of gone away. And I don't know if that's because the winters are so hectic that their cycle gets screwed up.
That could be, or just more humans and more humans and more humans.
Right. Yeah. I've been looking at deer population numbers.
Ooh.
They're down drastically.
Really? Well, it's probably because they're starving.
To some degree, yes. But there's a lot of farmland here. And it's hard to say that they're overpopulated because you always see one on the side of the road.
Yeah. And that's just, so farming community. I grew up on a dairy farm and growing corn and all this stuff. My dad is a huge hunter, deer, goose, pheasant, squirrel, ice fisher, all this sort of thing. But it's really interesting. If you look at the number of deer that were around, let's say 5 years ago was 2 years ago. They do the same as the census. Anyway, there were more deer in the United States 2 years ago than there were back before white men showed up.
Really?
Yeah.
And that's because of the conservation areas, right?
Well,
to some degree.
They are what are called a charismatic megafauna. They're cute.
Yes.
And they love landscaping plants and they can survive. If people aren't hunting them, they will reproduce drastically. Right. So like a lot of ranchers down here work with the Department of Natural Resources, Texas Department of Natural Resources. They know how many deer a certain number of acres of land can support where the deer will be healthy.
Right.
And stuff. The thing is, if you get so much food on there and no one's hunting the deer and there's no coyotes anymore and there's no mountain lions, there's no grizzly bears, you end up with an overpopulation of deer, which is a huge problem in a lot of places now. The number one animal killer of people in the United States is hitting a deer with a car.
Yep.
So things like that. But the part of the problem is that's why now we have the chronic wasting disease and the Lyme disease and all these things, because the deer are so jam-packed. They're still eating, but they're jam-packed. So diseases spread very rapidly through them and everything. Right. So yeah, it's actually a problem.
Yeah, there was actually, I think it was a year ago in Stark County, there was an issue with turkeys. The turkeys were overpopulating themselves and they would fly across the road.
Ooh.
And there was a couple of state troopers, just their windshields are blown out with a turkey hitting them. And you're doing 55 mile an hour and hit a 35-pound bird. It does a lot of damage.
Imagine doing that on a motorcycle.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
I can't. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get back into hunting. I used to
noticed
go.
your shirt.
Yeah. I tried to go back into hunting. I had a day off and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go try to shoot a turkey because it's turkey season.
Mhm.
It's raining. I don't want to deal with it.
See, down here, the big thing, what I love hunting are the feral hogs.
Yeah.
Which you don't have. And we have somewhere around 16 million wild pigs tearing everything up too down here.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe Texas has the helicopter shoot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've always wanted to do that. I found it
very
interesting
expensive.
To do.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe that's like a vacation trip. Go there and rent, get on there, shoot what you can.
Yeah. But no, we are completely overrun with feral hogs. They tear up the land, they tear up the plants, they tear up the landscaping. The town where I live in, they have 3 full-time trappers that catch about 30 hogs a week from people's yards and so forth. And they're not even making a dent in the population. A lot of the state parks have problems with it and so forth. And yeah.
At what point did they just say open season?
Oh, they already have.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So you can hunt them all year round in Texas on private property with the property owner's permission. You don't even need a hunting license.
Wow.
So
I figure at least throw us $10 to go hunting.
No, in fact, a number of counties now have bounties on them. It's like $5 a tail.
We've seen this before in India with the cobras.
The cobras, yes. And so everyone started breeding cobras. Well, you don't have to do that here. We got plenty.
Well, that's good.
It's cool. You knew that story. Yeah.
I know a little. I know a lot, but I know a little about consequences.
A lot. Yeah.
Like, it's weird being me. I have a driving job. So I listen to a lot of different documentaries. I do a lot of different things. I don't know. My knowledge is vast yet shallow.
That's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. It sometimes drives my wife crazy though. She's like, well, how do you know this shit?
How long have you been married?
It'd be shit. She's gonna be mad at me. Let's see, we got married October 2016. Okay. So it'd be just about 6 years coming up.
So my wife and I have been married 23 years.
Congratulations.
In February. Thank you.
That's an achievement there.
After like the 3rd year, the fact that you're in the same room with her will probably annoy her and drive her crazy.
Not at all. Not at all. We were together for
a lucky man.
Well, we were together about 6 months, and then I'm like, all right, we're doing this.
Oh, wow. So it was 9 months for my wife and I. Yeah. After 9 months, it's like, yep, I'm not going to find anyone better.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just sick of looking at other people trying to date. Let's just finish this. But no, I'm in a similar situation. She's kind of a city girl, and I'm trying to countrify the city girl. But she likes having the chickens here. She likes growing stuff. Oh. I don't know. We're homebodies. We don't really do much.
My wife is an in the home body, I think.
She's got her own little rat's nest.
Oh yeah, she got one of those weighted blankets for Christmas, and I don't think she came out from under it for like 2 months. It's just like a hand would come out, I give her some water, and it'd go back in. That's a Snickers bar.
You still alive in there? Give me a moan.
What's this bottle you're handing me? Ah!
Why would you do that? You heathen.
Comfy blanket. Comfy blanket. She can probably hear me. She's in the room below me.
So in an ideal setup, how much land would you possibly want to sustain yourself year round?
An ideal setup?
Yeah.
An acre.
Really? That's it?
Well, yeah.
And
if you do it right, you can support a family of 4 on an acre.
I've seen
it's kind of intensive.
Yeah, that's a bare minimum, like 2,000 calories, I think, roughly.
Well, it depends on choice of plants. A lot of that is with domestic plants. There are other things you can do, especially if you get some bees and stuff on there.
Right.
So yeah, but
I've never had any luck with bees.
I
just don't know what it is. I just don't have any luck with them.
You're right in there with most people. It's very hard to be a successful beekeeper. Colonies just have a tendency to die, and you just have to accept it. And after you've spent a whole bunch of money and then everything dies, it's like, damn it. So.
Yeah,
That's where you become friends with a good beekeeper. They give you honey, you give them a few bottles of mead. It's a wonderful relationship.
Yeah, you talking about that? I've got 6 gallons of a table wine that's just they're empty bottles, and I use them for making mead.
Yep.
Oh, and yeah. It's so hard to find unlubed condoms because that's what I use for a condenser. And it's like,
spring the $1.20 for the little air traps.
No, it's too much fun to be like, I need this and I need a lot of them. And they're like, what is wrong with this guy? Especially when so this happened. We were at a sex store. It was me, my buddy, and my wife. And I'm like, okay, we need unlubricated condoms. The dude's like, they're over there. It's not what you think it's for. And he goes, I don't want to know. But no, I've also got a mash tun for making beer. Like, I've done quite a bit of alcohol making, and I think I should make some more.
I support that decision. It's like the local liquor store thinks I'm a raging alcoholic because I'm always going in there and buying liters of Everclear or occasionally just vodka, but the cheapest versions of those I can find because I make a lot of my own tinctures and the medicinal plant stuff. Yeah.
See, I know
those aren't for sale, but the other things I make are for sale. Yeah.
I know. I used to cheese it out because you can take cheap vodka, run it through coffee filters, and then freeze it, and it keeps the condensity, and you're able to have a better tasting vodka that's more clear for the same price as the cheap gallon plastic liter.
Hey, Mr. Boston. Do they still? I think they still make Mr. Boston.
I think so.
That's what we drank a lot in grad school. Yeah.
In grad school?
Yeah. Grad school.
Oh,
we have no money in grad school. Yeah.
We
also ended up building our own still, but we're not supposed to talk about that. Actually, I think the statute of limitations is
I believe it's 15 years.
Yeah. Is it 15 or 7?
Depends what you're
and federal is different than state crime. So
as long as you're not crossing state borders, feds can't do much.
We were right in Troy, New York, so we'd make this loop through Massachusetts, Vermont, and New York, flipping around there. Yeah.
So you well versed traveled across the states then.
Yeah. So I grew up in Minnesota. That's where I first learned the whole foraging, edible and medicinal plants. Then I spent 4 years in South Dakota getting my undergraduate chemistry degree. And then 7 years in upstate New York, in Troy, New York at Rensselaer Polytech, getting a master's in medicinal chemistry and a PhD in physical organic chemistry. Decided I had enough of winters. At that point, my soon-to-be wife had done her undergraduate in Houston, where I was going to say there's no snow, but that has been proven wrong.
Yeah, I remember that.
But we ended up down here and been here since '97 and loved it.
Good. It's always good to hear stories about people finding a place that they finally are okay with.
It's fun. Houston is a great place to raise a family, but a boring as hell place to visit.
Hey, you're talking about Indiana.
Yeah, well, yeah. But we have NASA, which is awesome, right. And then we have
Whataburger. I would say, isn't it SpaceX located there now?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I got to fly over that a few weeks ago. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Talk about giant condomy looking things.
So actually, let's talk about this. Do you think Elon's actually going to build a space station?
I hope so. I hope so.
This is going to be way off topic, but I've always believed that the first person that can do asteroid mining will be the first trillionaire overnight.
Yeah. And hopefully, especially now with they're talking about switching everything over to electric, we're going to need a hell of a lot of copper. We're going to need a hell of a lot of lithium. We're going to need a hell of a lot of nickel. You can get those from the asteroids. But
absolutely.
Hey, we can use this into a segue for a really cool topic if you want.
Go for it.
Okay. So NASA. Yes. One of the things I did some work with NASA. They have you might have heard they're trying to grow plants in space.
Yes.
Okay, so they have these growing chambers. They're robotic growing chambers with LED lights that you can tune to the specific wavelength.
It's a terrarium of sorts.
Yeah. And they have the water and the pumps and all this
stuff. Hydroponics.
Yeah, and they suck. They work great on Earth, but once they get up into space, they're just not doing well. And so the astronauts have to spend time caring for the plants and playing with the plants. They love this. Mm-hmm. The problem is they love it so much that they're neglecting other things they need to do. And so, but leave me
So
alone.
they need a botanist on station.
Well, what they need is something that works better than this, but they can't make a new machine. So there's botanical issues, there are engineering issues, and there are human nature issues with growing plants in space. And we talked about the human nature, the astronauts just really love messing with the plants to the point where they will let other important things go and not get done.
Right.
On the engineering side, you're a smart guy, you will understand this. Heat. Anytime you add a new computer or a pump or anything, lights on the space station, you are increasing the heat output inside the space station. So they have a very hard time. You think space is cold, yes, but it sucks for transferring for heat because you can only do the black body radiation.
Right.
So it's like, if you blow on yourself, you cool down. There's no wind in space, so it's just a radiation thing. But the space station is kind of cool because you have the outer hull, then a layer of liquid ammonia, and then the inner hull. And then out on those big wings, they have these tubes. So the inner hull heats up the liquid ammonia, which flows out into these things and slowly cools.
So it's like a condenser of sorts.
Yeah. Or even like the old school refrigerators,
radiators,
where they used where they used ammonia.
Yeah.
So they got technical problems. They're stuck with these things. They got to make them work. Right. But in the case of the plants, one of the weird things that was totally unexpected was that the immune system of plants turns off in outer space, in 0-degree or microgravity conditions.
Could that be because of the magnetic field?
We don't know. We can reproduce it on Earth. If you know those like spaceman trainers where they
the gyroscopic.
So they will grow plants in that, and the same thing happens. The plant goes, no immune system.
I wonder if it has to deal with the rotation of the Earth then.
We don't know. But what we do know is the International Space Station is filthy nasty. Imagine a locker room that has never been aired out for the last 20 years.
That was almost like my high school.
So there's all sorts of mildew and scum and all this growing because they can't really use any harsh cleaners on it because then the astronauts would breathe that in, and that's always humid, and that's a problem.
So it sounds like they need more air purifiers up there, or possibly negative energy waves.
Oh, there we go. Or even ultraviolet light, but even that can break down things over time.
Right.
But there's but that's weakening the plants. The plants can't resist the different diseases and so forth. But another thing people don't realize is the levels of carbon dioxide on the International Space Station.
Does it overproduce what the plants can actually handle?
Yep. So it can go up to 7,000 parts per million carbon dioxide. Above that, the astronauts start having problems. Like here on Earth, it's around 400 parts per million. Plants, once you get up above 1,500 parts per million, they start to choke on it. They can't handle that. So one of the things we're looking at then is wild plants. So, I should have brought it. If I knew we were going on here, I would have brought Mo the moon onion. So growing different wild plants in simulated lunar soil and Martian soil is one of the things I've been working on.
Right.
And I got some very nice wild onions growing in simulated lunar soil that may be one of the things that ends up helping the astronauts, because along with being high in vitamin C, onions are very high in vitamin C. They have their own antimicrobial and antifungal properties, but they also have a strong flavor.
Right.
When you're in space, one of the problems that occurs is you no longer have drainage.
Right.
And so your heads get puffy and you get space nose, where it's like a congested sinuses. So you can no longer
it's a giant sinus
anything.
Infection without the infection. Yeah.
And so all the food up there just tastes So one of the things the astronauts always ask for is give us strong flavored stuff.
Right.
And onions are strong flavored. So we're seeing what happens.
I remember that's mostly like why a lot of older wars went to war, because of spices and whatnot. Like human beings always want to have a better tasting food.
Yeah, huge bloody battles over nutmeg,
pepper,
which is part of the Serenity pill. Had to throw that in there.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. Like, so I've been researching a lot of this thing, the substance called graphene. Are you familiar with this?
Yes, the carbon. Yeah.
taking carbon out of the air to make graphene.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if taking carbon out of the air in the space station to make little graphene platelets would help. Now you'd have to heavily control that.
Yeah. So a lot of the graphene, so like carbon black, the soot from a candle is a very good so burning carbon.
Right.
Heat. You got to get rid of the heat. So there's an engineering thing there. If they could come up with some sort of catalyst, that
absolutely.
would be a low temperature sort of thing, or even a bacteria or something like that, kind of a thing.
I mean, we made a bacteria that can eat oils from oil spills. I'm sure
actually nature did that.
Really?
Oh yeah. So oil, it's carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. It's basically sugar, but assembled differently.
Right.
Here in the Gulf of Mexico, like where we have the Deepwater Horizon, incident, there are natural oil seeps. That's how they figured out there was oil out there. Is just constantly just oil balls washing up on shore. So bacteria in the Gulf of Mexico evolved a long time ago to eat it. It's to them, it's a fine food. It's carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. What more do I need? Okay, maybe a little phosphorus, but then we're good.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the problem. If you're a young guy, I don't know if you remember the Valdez Exxon Valdez, the wreck up in Alaska.
Yeah.
The waters up there did not naturally have oil in it, so nothing evolved up there to eat the oil.
Right.
So it just coated everything.
Okay. But I was under the impression that scientists kind of pushed that bacteria more to be more efficient at eating it.
They might have a little, but it was already there. It's been there for tens of thousands of years.
Yeah,
I'd hate to see what the Gulf would be like if it wasn't there. It'd be nasty.
Yeah. Oh, that's just like, so you were talking about earlier, we need lots of copper and lithium and nickel. For some reason, Alaska is designated as a federal reserve zone, even though we have a lot of copper reserves buried in like just a postage stamp of Alaska has many tons of copper underneath of it, but we can't touch it.
Mm-hmm.
First person to break through that federal barrier is going to be very wealthy.
Yep. No, it's same in Minnesota, where I grew up, the iron mining and copper mining rates, they're all going, please let us take. Yeah. I got my pick. Come on. We need the copper. We need the copper. Now we're going to buy it from China. God damn it.
Yeah. That's like there's recently a uranium mine found in Texas. I'm not sure where, but they have been mining uranium out of the Texas and making that for a lot of the nuclear power rods. Yep. And I bought some stocks in that company when it started, and it's just hit $6.53 a share today. Yeah, I got $200 in it. I'm doing great.
Hey. No, out in Big Bend Ranch State Park. If you've ever heard of Big Bend National Park,
I think so.
This is a little more west and just slightly smaller and even less visited. My buddy and I were there back in January. We were the only two visitors in the park, and this park is roughly the size of Connecticut.
So you got free reign.
Yeah, but they have old abandoned uranium mines there.
Really?
So yeah, so that's when we go back next year. We're going to go poking around there, get ourselves a Geiger counter, see what we can.
Hey, have fun with it.
Find. Hey, yeah.
They made the whole song.
I have all my kids. I'm not,
I can finally have my third eye I've always wanted.
Superpowers, here I come. Mark, why do you have that box of spiders? Just don't ask.
Yeah, you'd be more likely to come back with Elephant Man syndrome.
Yeah,
unfortunately. It doesn't work like I want it to.
Marvel Comics.
Well, that's the thing with Marvel Comics. First it was radiation, and then we solved radiation issues, and now it's quantum physics and messing with the quantum stuff because we don't know how it works.
Yep.
So it's always based off of stuff we don't know that's experimental.
Yeah.
I'm
You're right. You're absolutely right.
It's another weird thing I know. So you were talking about hunting before. So let me get just a temperature check. How do you feel about guns in America? Just as a whole. You for it, against it, you see it used as a tool.
What do you think? A couple of things. One, yes, it's a tool. Two, every creature has the right to self-defense. And frankly, I'm okay with tanks in people's driveways.
Libertarian, are you?
Yeah, when it comes to guns, like I said, there's a wonderful saying: an armed society is a polite society, and we have lost our politeness because And especially now with the whole defund the police, that's even happening here in Texas.
That's
and
scary.
So Austin and Houston, and the crime rate predictably has skyrocketed. Murders are up 50% across Texas. And it's like, that's because, if someone's caught, they're slapped on the wrist, for, lesser crimes. And,
sadly.
So.
See, I've always said, because I have more of a libertarian mindset for like the community. And I have always said, I believe gay people should be able to defend their marijuana plants with AR-15s. Like, that's a pretty baseline, and it is what it is.
Yep.
So that's interesting, though, that Austin's gone up with the murder rate that much. That's almost Chicago levels.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
It's not quite Minneapolis, but yeah, it's up there.
That's amazing.
And actually, if you look at the numbers, so it's funny you mentioned Chicago, because Chicago and Houston are pretty much equal in size. Our murder rate is still an order of magnitude lower,
right,
than Chicago.
Yeah.
I know at one point they still said about 56% of Houstonians were walking around strapped.
Yeah,
but now we've had all this influx in the last 5 years.
That's like the joke Family Guy did. All right, every bottle of whiskey purchased gets you a handgun. Even though that's not how the law works at all.
But it should.
They
said, alcohol, tobacco, firearms sounds like a great store to me.
That's like the history of where the shot came from. The whiskey shot. A 45 Colt used to be 12 cents. So was a shot of whiskey. Thus, the shot of whiskey cost you a bullet. Weird facts. So what do you say is your favorite? Pistols, rifles, shotguns, muzzle loader?
I have a railgun would be nice.
I've been working on.
So I'm a lefty.
So lefty?
Rifles, and last year I finally got my first actual left-handed bolt action rifle, and it's like, oh.
Now is that so with nice. the chambering on the other side?
Yeah, so the bolt is on the left side. Yeah.
Okay, because I've seen some left-handed rifles where the stock is like weirdly bent. For left-handed.
No.
Okay.
No, but just rifle, and like my lever action, my hunting. I have a 30-30 lever action hunting rifle too that I've used.
It's a good base gun. I like
it. And there's just
they're fun.
I like rifles. I'm a really good shot with the rifle.
Yeah.
My dad, he's no longer a firearms instructor for the NRA, but he was for 30 some years. And so it was just something we grew up and very rigorously patrolled. If we did anything wrong, the guns were away for usually 4 months. And if that's all that happened, that was good. So,
right.
Yeah. That's good. I taught my kids gun safety because, you don't just give a kid a blowtorch and say, hey, here you go. They need to understand.
Right. It's not fuck around, find out. It's this is how this works.
Yes.
That's interesting. The fact of like, just you're so well-rounded in things. I'm not used to it. Like, I just feel like I have a plethora of questions I could ask, but where do I go? All right. Let's see here. How would you fix the supply issue?
That
from a top-down 30,000 foot view.
Okay.
How would you try and fix it?
So
let's go with the supply of. Go ahead.
Okay. First off, remove the disincentives to manufacture here in the United States.
You mean like the tax incentives and the tariffs
and tariffs and all.
Okay.
And let's bring manufacturing back here. I want to go and slap whoever came up with the just-in-time theory of manufacturing. So this started in Japan, where all the raw materials would be delivered at the factory just when it was needed, and then there'd be a truck waiting at the other end to take the cars off to be shipped off to America. So they never kept any inventory of anything.
Oh, they never had a stockpile. Okay.
So, and so that theory got spread everywhere. One of the companies I worked for had that, and it was an absolute disaster. Because if there's any sort of glitch in any of these thousands of moving parts, suddenly everything screeches to a halt.
Right.
So that whole idea, it was supposed to save money by getting rid of warehouse space and having, inventory. It costs money just to have a thing sitting there. You want to take it and immediately sell it. So, hey, we can save money by just.
So you're blaming the bureaucrats for this.
accountants. There, you might have seen the meme. They showed a Roman road, 4,000-year-old Roman road, and a road today. And then the engineers showed up. No. It was the accountants.
Yes.
The engineers could have made you a road that would last 4,000 years. The accountants going, well, yeah.
That's no different than auto cars anymore now, because of how they used to be very modular. And like this one piece failed, take piece off, put same piece in.
Yeah.
I've worked on my fair share of 80s vehicles. I know that all too well. You can fix it with a 10mm socket and a screwdriver
until you lose the 10mm socket.
Yeah. And then I had a ratchet that was just a 10mm socket, and it was welded to that ratchet. It never left. It was the ratchet.
Nope. I keep like 4 10mm sockets in my vehicle because one always disappears. But so the main thing, bring manufacturing back. Allow the companies, help them on. Well, I think they're starting to figure this out. Like, we really screwed up with the just-in-time thing.
Oh yeah.
That's a big thing. And just that's the start. Again, like we talked though, if you're going to manufacture here, you need the raw materials here. We have a lot of raw materials.
We have a crazy amount of raw materials.
So let's access them. Do you want, right now, the belief is out of sight, out of mind. So let's let China dig it up, and their pollution doesn't count.
Even though they're number 1 polluters in the world.
Yeah.
Right up next to India.
Yeah. So we can do it better.
Now, do you think some of the regulations should be pulled back to help incentivize things?
Yes.
I mean, like, I'm not talking like workers' rights and regulations, and more like some of the environmental stuff. I think like some things are open for debate.
Yeah. Well, and I'm a big proponent of nuclear power. I grew up next to the Monticello nuclear power plant in Minnesota. There was never an issue. Don't put it on a fault line. Don't put it on the beach where there's tidal waves.
Right.
But if you pick the right spot, and the waste product from all the if we built enough nuclear powers to supply the electricity to do what they're talking about doing with electric cars and all this stuff,
right?
They're trying to ban gas water heaters and gas stoves and stuff in house. The amount of waste from it would be roughly the size of a Toyota Tacoma every 2 years, and we know how to handle that safely.
Right. And the fact is, a lot of the new, a lot of people have like the old concept of older nuclear power plants. Some of the newer technologies that can be involved, there's pretty much no way to fail because of how many security things are involved.
Yep.
And if we looked at nuclear, like the one, I believe it's next to St. Joe, Michigan, that's closest to me. That one is old, very old. And we've had bridges be replaced sooner than the nuclear power plants were for safety reasons. Yeah. So why wouldn't we just
because there's all sorts of regulations against upgrading and changing and I
mean, I think personally,
so many people are going to hate me right now, but oh well.
For what?
For understanding science. That's a bad thing nowadays.
I mean, words are violence too, but that's a whole different
understanding
can of words.
Science. Science, not violence. I understand violence too, but
I don't know. Science to me, it seems like it's so underhanded because of the recent pandemic, and everyone's like, trust the science, but nuclear energy is bad. What are you talking about?
Trust the science that I trust.
Yeah. How dare you confuse your Google search with my Google search?
Okay, I'm stealing that one. Thank you. I'm just acknowledging, but it's being stolen.
I said that for a while.
DuckDuckGo, but anyway.
I actually use the Brave search engine.
That's what I use. Okay, I use that as the browser, but I usually go to DuckDuckGo. I have to try the Brave search engine.
The Brave search engine is a lot like the DuckDuckGo engine, except Brave gives you more. It's more hyper focused. Like if you're searching for pine duck, it will give you pine duck, like Wikipedia images and whatnot, similar to Google does. But it also gives you the first is like for like the DNR stuff. It'll pull up government websites first, and then it'll do like opinion pieces.
Interesting.
It takes a little bit to get used to, especially when you're looking for like sensitive topics.
No, we never do
that. No. I never looked up Ruby Ridge before. No. You can Google that one on your phone.
I know. Yeah. I'm older than I look. I know a lot of these things.
I mean, I don't know. I'm 31.
Oh.
I know too much. I don't claim my generation at all.
Not enough people know enough things. So
is that the truth?
Yeah.
There's too many people. Okay. I think there's too many people writing about useless articles getting paid more than plumbers and welders. What's your opinion on that?
So I have 2 daughters, and I was begging them to become electricians or plumbers or something.
Craftsmen. Okay.
Yeah. And I think they're never going to be replaced by robots.
No.
There's
too many custom jobs.
Yeah. So I mean, and if you want to look at people that become millionaires, it's the person who went to trade school and became an auto mechanic, or the plumber, the house painter. I think probably the richest guy in my class, my high school class, he started his own painting business 2 days after graduation, and is now doing great. Has been doing great for a long time. So
yeah,
more than a chemist ever made.
The education system's rough. I mean, just from personal experience, our school was all college. And even though 80% of our graduating class was farm kids, they were never going to go to college. As soon as they got done with school, they were going to mom and dad's farm. That's what they did. And then I don't know, I went to college, the community college, for advanced physics and chemistry, which is weird to mix the two. I know that's kind of taboo to mix them.
No.
But
I was explaining to me, if you want fireworks, you get chemistry. If you want bombs, you go.
But the first year at I will name drop Ivy Tech school. It's an Indiana college school. The first year I went there, the teacher had no idea what he was talking about at all. And I was like, what are you doing? I learned this not a year ago. This is all wrong. And then I ended up teaching the class because he got so mad at me. And he left, and the school wouldn't reimburse me for the class. I'm like, I'm teaching this class and grading papers. Man. And I just quit. I'm like, I'm not dealing with this. This is stupid. Yep. And then I just went off on my own. Kind of lost interest in it because I was a little butthurt about it. But that's
understandable, man.
Yeah. My life turned to about of just doing random jobs, whether it be corporate or whatnot.
Yeah.
Oh man. What else do you want to talk about? This is fun.
Oh man. Okay. Why we have so many health issues as modern humans?
I can think of 5 things right away.
Okay. Yeah.
Prescribing medication and opiates, high fructose corn syrup, the air density inside cities, the acknowledgement of mental disorders and being them thrived upon. Like, oh, it's ADHD, but it's a good thing for this because you can overprescribe them again. That kind of leads to another one. Yeah. And then this is kind of an opinion piece, but I think the lack of faith also has something to do with it. Now, fair warning,
especially for mental health.
I am fairly agnostic, so I don't really claim to be religious, but I understand the community value in it, and I understand like the being part of something greater than you. I understand it. I just don't really agree with it.
No, you're absolutely right. And all these sort of things, though, as things that are contributing to really poor health. But if you ask yourself, why are we doing all these? Let's talk about humans as a whole. So the world we evolved in, and I'm talking going back,
scarce place.
Yeah, but also in some ways a very wonderful place. So if you go back to the first proto-humans that figured out, if I chip this rock and rub these sticks together, I get sharp tools and fire, and I can wear a skin now. So 2.5 million years. So we evolved out in nature, interacting with nature, getting better and better than anything else around us.
Or good adaptability.
And resource, recognizing resources. So one of the things that helped with this was figuring out how to throw things at stuff.
Right.
So once we figured out, once these early 2.5 million year old, slightly more than monkeys, slightly less than humans.
I want to stab that thing from far away.
Yeah, or I want to crush the skull of that thing from far away, because then I get to eat the brains and the fat and the liver and the eyeballs and the
without
spleen.
injuring myself.
Mm-hmm. So as they got better at that and they got more nutrition, a number of things happened. First, they were healthier, they were more robust. But a really cool thing is the part of the brain that controls throwing things at stuff is right up against the part of the brain that controls language. And so as we got better at throwing things, to accurately hit something by throwing a rock at it, you have a release window of 1/1600th of a second.
Okay.
If you release it too early, too late, you miss it. So we got down to where we could control our body to 1/1600th of a second. And if you play darts or cornhole or anything, you know right when you release if you're going to hit or miss.
Right.
Because we can calculate that parabolic arc. We know what's going on. Our brains are amazing like that, because that's what we evolved. We got, evolved. Those that were best at that got fed the best. But they also developed that the language skills, because that's another thing that requires very precise control of muscles in a very specific order. So, and then as we got beyond grunting and could communicate with each other, we became better and better hunters too.
Right.
So the throwing things and all that. But at the same time, we're out in nature. So look at your floor for a second.
It's carpet.
Okay, but it's flat, right?
Yeah.
Flat. Your sidewalks, they're flat. Your roads, they're flat. When was the last time you walked on a rough, uneven, loose surface?
Gravel.
When?
Driveway delivering a package.
How often?
Every day.
Okay. But not every time you're out walking.
That's true.
Okay. So
are you assimilating the fact that we lost challenges in the nature?
So let's go sideways here for a second, and you'll probably understand this. Japan. Okay. What's the current demographics of Japan?
As in relates to what?
Let's talk ages.
Ages?
Yeah.
So I believe, top of my head, I think most of the population is 25 to 42, because more. Well, okay, what are we doing here?
Yeah, so we're talking 45 to 65 sort of thing. Japan has the most dangerous demographic population in the world. They have a huge number of old people and very few young people.
Okay.
They saw this coming for the last 30 years. So Japan has put a whole bunch of research into what can we do to minimize the resource depletion of these older people, so that the young people aren't just crushed taking care of them. One of the things they found is the more time you spend walking on uneven ground throughout your life, the longer you can put off the ravages of old age. And so what's going on? There's a couple of things going on. Yeah. So for the brain, as you get older, a lot of times dementia and even Alzheimer's and these things start to form.
Right.
Walking on uneven ground, they found, as you're doing it, it's a challenge for your brain. Your brain has to constantly be studying the input from your feet, adjusting your body to maintain your balance. It was designed to do that. That's one of the things. It loves doing that. It's like a Sudoku puzzle for the brain. It's like, yes, this is the sort of thing I was supposed to do. Thank you for giving it. So it stimulates the brain. It's exercise for the brain. So the brain remains stronger, and memory loss is reduced, dementia is reduced. All the brain old age things are greatly reduced just by walking on uneven ground a lot.
Huh.
Now, while you're doing this, your core muscles are your core muscles are the part of the body that it uses to maintain your balance. So you're constantly shifting your weight and so forth. It's great exercise for your core muscles. There's a direct correlation between core muscle strength and overall health.
Man, I wonder if this is where country boy strength comes from, because you're walking through cow pastures that are uneven.
Damn straight.
Okay, yeah. That kind of makes sense now.
And another thing, your sense of balance improves.
I don't know about that one.
If you're out doing it enough.
I'm pretty bad.
Well, you just got to walk more. But one of the things I found, the more time you spend walking on uneven ground throughout your life, the less likely you are in later ages to fall and break a hip.
Interesting.
So because you have that recovery, because you've been recovering for a long time, and you have the core muscle strength, and a broken hip if you're over like 72, it's pretty much a death sentence.
Yeah.
So yeah, all those sort of things. But also going back to the brain again, if you're doing this outside, because most people don't have, well, unless you're living in a cheap apartment in grad school, you don't really have uneven floors. I don't know if you have kids, you have toys everywhere, but you shouldn't step on them. Out in nature, when you're out in nature, all your senses get activated.
Right.
Your sight is checking for things.
Right.
Your hearing is listening for things. Your skin is picking up the direction of the wind, because you need to know that. So which way is the wind blowing, so you can hunt into it or be aware that something might be sneaking up behind you from it. So you need to know this. The smell also stimulates. In modern life now, usually the goal is to not smell something.
Yeah.
As opposed to it being one of our key senses for interacting with the environment.
Yeah.
And so all this sort of stimulation, just being out inside and then picking up sticks and feeling them and texture and throwing things at stuff like we evolved to do. You put a kid out in the woods, they're going to be throwing things at stuff. They're going to be climbing trees. They're going to be touching and smelling and crushing and doing what the brain said, yes, this is what I need. And so it strengthens the brain. It greatly reduces the attention deficit disorder things that you were talking about, because the brain is getting that stimulation. They've shown like 30 to 40 minutes, 3 times a week in nature, off the trails, in the woods, pretty much reduces the attention deficit disorder symptoms to 80 to 90%.
That's amazing.
Amazing, huge thing, because the kids were out there feeding their brain all the sensory input from every part of their body, really.
And it runs them ragged, so they come home and pass out.
It runs them ragged. That was so that's the whole secret to my early foraging. So I have 2 brothers. All 3 of us were born within a 2-year period.
Okay.
So Irish triplets. And my parents quickly realized we need to take these guys out in the woods every day just to wear them out, because otherwise we're going to just have to kill them. maybe one of them.
Late term abortion is, Dad, I'm 16. Doesn't matter.
Yep. So then when we were out there, say, we'd eat this and we'd eat that, and Grandma used this plant medicinally, and it just kind of turned into my lifestyle.
That's always a good thing.
Yeah.
But that's interesting, the fact that the brain does that. I never correlated that at all.
We are better at analyzing our ecosystem for resources than any other creature on Earth.
And that's a lot because of how we evolved too.
Exactly. We just got better and better and better at it. So that segues into medicinal plants.
Okay.
All right. So one of the questions as an herbalist I always get is, how did humans figure out these plants were medicinal?
Oh, they gave it to some guy, he died. Okay, that didn't work.
So that's a common belief. But if you actually talk to the shamans, like in the Amazon and in Africa and places where there's still these indigenous people.
Didn't they follow bugs?
Pardon?
Didn't they follow certain bugs to lead them? Okay.
No, repeatedly. And looking at historical records, the other botanists asking, why did you use this? They say the plants told us.
Oh, yeah, I've heard this.
Yeah. And so this leads to this, this belief, because we approach the word told from a Western civilization nomenclature that, some voice is saying this. It's not what's going on. So now we have to get lost at sea.
Okay.
So bear with me. So we're lost at sea. We're in our life raft. Our ship sunk, but we're bobbing along. We have a fishing kit. So we can actually catch fish, because a good, well-appointed, life raft has a fishing kit. So for the first 6 weeks, the people in the life raft are just eating the meat of the fish.
Right.
But repeatedly, there's all sorts of really interesting studies and stories about this. But after about 6 weeks, it's like a switch gets flipped in the brain, and then they catch the fish and they're like, wow, those eyeballs look really good. And that liver, why have I not been eating that liver? And oh my God, the spleen and the guts and the gills. And suddenly they realize, wow, there's all this other stuff that what looked disgusting to them now looks like, yes, I need this.
Right.
So our brain is, like I said, it's amazing at analyzing resources. Something you don't think about, but down to almost a molecular level. So The average person can see somewhere around 4 million colors. Super seers can see 7 million colors. And then as far as our ability to differentiate scents and tastes, you got to multiply that by another 10,000. So we have this amazing ability to differentiate compounds because the flavors and the smells and the colors are to do compounds. Our body understands itself.
Right.
It knows, when you get a food craving or something, like it's very common for pregnant women, especially in more third world countries, when they're pregnant, to suddenly get a craving to eat dirt or clay. And it's been tracked down to those that get this craving. It's because they are lacking minerals and their brain goes, there's something in that soil. You need to eat that.
Right.
Because even though you didn't realize there's phosphorus and magnesium and calcium in that clay, something in your brain said, there's something in that I need.
And so that's what you're saying, like plants spoke to you this way. It's because the body told them, and they just
there's something, and they just kind of went, there's something about this berry. I gotta get it. Let's see what happens. Whoop. And then we tear them. And so that's my theory, and several others. When they talk about the plants telling them, it's that more that we were able, with this amazing computer and nose and eyes and tongue, to actually realize there's something in this plant our body really needs right now.
Yeah. So that's like that can actually be summed up to some recent times. I mean, I can even look at myself. Like I can go, it's probably not healthy, but I can go like a couple of days and just like, one meal a day. And then the next time it's like, all right, my face is in the fridge looking for something every hour. I just, and it's also because I'm trying to cut down on carbs. And so like with keto light is what I've been calling it. And so like, I'm constantly like, I need something.
And you're fighting the caveman, physiology.
Yeah.
We have sensors in our stomachs when we eat something high in calories that trigger the brain that says, oh my God, this thing you're eating, eat more of it. Because you don't know when you're going to get more of it.
Right.
And it's like, it's Girl Scout cookie season. There's more of it just waiting.
Oh, my drug dealer's here.
and so, we are fighting the, 2.5 million years evolution saying, eat this.
Right.
When we no longer need to eat this. And that causes, all the diabetes and overweightness and just general lethargic. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a victim to obesity, but it's a self-joy.
Tacos. We have tacos.
Oh man. Tacos are my favorite. Right up there next to pizza and beer. I don't know. It's a hard thing to fight. Especially when you're like, oh yes, body, reward me with the dopamine. I love this.
And that's exactly what it's doing. It's like, oh, good job, human. You found something good to eat. Did you have to fight bees for this? Whatever. You did the right thing as you're wolfing down your third tombstone pizza.
Yep. So do you have any parting words of wisdom for people?
Get outside.
That's exactly what I'm
outside.
saying.
Get out in nature. Just walking around does so much for your mental health, your mood. It strengthens your immune system. You will be better. And you won't be, maybe have the phone, in your back pocket. Ideally leave, don't be outside looking at your phone. Be outside smelling.
I gotta get my Instagram going.
And touching the birds. I got to take pictures of me outside. Look, I'm walking. And look at the flowers. There is no mushroom that can poison you just by touching it. And mushrooms are really fascinating once you get down. Don't lick your fingers afterwards.
I was gonna say, hold on.
But there are deadly mushrooms out there. But just interesting mushroom. Yeah. Oh, and so that was one of the things I was going to continue with medicinal plants sort of thing. If I can, one last thing.
Go for it.
The stoned ape shamanism. So there's a big theory that a lot of our mental development and expansion of our thought process was due to psychedelic mushrooms and some cactus and stuff. Every culture figured these things out.
Right.
And because it makes new connections and allows you to see connections that you wouldn't otherwise normally come up with.
I thought that was a dividend because of the DMT and the brain had more access to the neurons. And that's what gives you a lot of visions and whatnot.
Yeah. But again, if you are analyzing your ecosystem, having a few people that, okay, here, have this monkey or have this mushroom and then tell us what you see.
Right.
Okay, he's eating that plant, and that plant. So try that, sort of thing. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Any questions for me?
When are you coming down to Texas?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not too sure, really. I don't really do
some
much.
pig hunting.
Man, I would love to, but I got so many home projects that I'm doing right now. It's kind of like I have a shower to fix. I've got I got a chicken shed I need to rebuild to handle 30 plus birds, and I'm building up right now. I got a patio I promised my wife I would fix.
Do you bring her along?
Oh, probably.
Feral hogs.
I know. She's a better shot with my rifle than I am. I got a 308. I hand reload, and she nails it every time.
That's my lever action is. Yeah, that's the perfect rifle for pigs. You get one like 80 pounds or so. Oh, so good. So good. And it's waste not, want not. So head cheese and brains and all that. My mom still loves pig's lungs fried up. And my dad's favorite is the pig's brains with some egg. And it's like,
I understand it's a delicacy, but that's one food I can be picky with. I don't know about that. I don't need to be, this is totally mind setting, but it's like, I don't need to be eating that and to be honking and hoarding the next day.
I understand. It's me with fuzzy leaves. I don't like hairy food.
Yeah, no. That's like kiwis, like skin them for me. I don't want to touch them.
Yeah, it's like eating a mouse. I like to think that part of my life is over.
Yeah.
But hey, anytime.
All right.
You got my email address. You know how to get a hold of me.
Yeah. If I ever
need help with the pigs, we need help.
Help with the pigs. Yeah. I've got about 1,000 rounds.
That's a start, I guess.
And that'd be
in Texas, we call that the glove compartment.
I suppose it's true. It's true. At what point do you just sit in a helicopter with a saw? Just all right, mow them down.
Someday when I'm rich.
Yeah.
I'm quite happy sitting in a blind, listening to the birds, waiting for the pigs.
Yeah.
Being with nature.
I don't mind being in nature, but there's just, I don't know. I like being home. I like being home, doing home stuff. It's usually for me.
Yeah, I go cabin fever really bad. I have to get outside in the wild pretty much every day. My dad's the same way. He's 87, and every day he sells to go, I'm just going to go check the lake, see if anything's biting. Right there.
He doesn't tell you he's waiting for skinny dippers to come by one day.
No, this is Minnesota. There's never a skinny dipper.
Oh, come on. They got the Polar Bear Society. They jump in freezing water.
Which is really good for you.
I hear it culture shocks your immune system to work overdrive.
It does that. It enlarges your blood vessels, which lowers your blood pressure. It stimulates libido and testosterone.
I did not.
That whole idea of the cold shower. So again, So I'm going to cling to your show for a little bit longer.
Go for it. You get
free
reign.
The Homo sapiens have been through 5 ice ages. And if you go back again, 2.5 million years, it's more like 12 ice ages. We are designed for cold weather, and it has all sorts of health benefits for us. So you might have heard intermittent cold therapy, where you subject yourself, expose yourself to cold weather. And the colder it is, the less time you have to expose yourself. So if you jump in a tub filled with ice water, you only have to be in there like 5 minutes and you get all sorts of these health benefits. But if you can afford it, which down here in Texas, we can't, set your thermostat for under 64 degrees and expose as much of your body to that, as much as your family and neighbors will allow, I guess.
Man, we're already set up for that. This house is usually set for like 66, 68 all year round.
That has really good things. And one of the cool things that it does, so in your body, you have the white fat cells, which is when you think of fat cells, that's normally you think little marshmallows, big globs of fat just packed around the hips and so forth. We also have what's called the brown fat or brown adipose tissue. The brown adipose tissue, it's tiny little globules of fat with a lot of iron, which gives it its brown color. And it's usually around the neck and shoulder areas.
Right.
This is the body's emergency energy supply.
Oh yeah.
So
Okay.
when if like the main reason is for powering shivering.
Right.
When you get cold and you're actually shivering, which is the
It's
point
your
you have to
body's
be
way
at,
of warming yourself up.
trying to warm itself up, but you are burning this brown fat.
Mm-hmm.
The more often it happens, the more the body goes, I have this fat. I could put it in the white fat to when you're starving and you still going to give you energy. But you dumbass, you keep going out in the cold. So let's stock it up here in the brown fat, because you seem to not understand that you shouldn't go out in the cold, but I'm going to protect you anyway.
Right.
But it's also for like fight and flight. If you're fighting with a saber-toothed tiger and you hit that wall energy, it's when the brown fat, wait, here's a little more, stab it, 2 more times with the stick, sort of thing. So the more you subject yourself to cold weather and vigorous, draining workouts, quite frankly, the cold is much nicer than comparing the two.
Right.
But you're going to end up with more of the brown fat. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Any other final thoughts?
Nope. Get outside. Check out medicinemanplantco.com for more information.
Do you have an Amazon link for your book?
I don't right now. It just came out. So just to show the people at home, this just my it just showed up in my mailbox yesterday. This is my book. They get me 30 free copies. Outdoor Adventure Guide Foraging by DK Publishing. If you know DK Publishing, they make all the the visual guide to the Star Wars universe and stuff like that. So they
really?
Yeah. Okay. So they pride themselves on the photography of the books. So
good. That was a good choice then.
Yeah. So lots and lots of pictures.
Good.
To help you identify it. And recipes. Oh, such good recipes. There's a spring roll recipe there. Oh, it's so good. Sorry.
No, it's good. It sounds like you need lunch.
I do.
All righty.
All right.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Had a great time. A lot of fun. Thank you for letting me just meander all like a dog in the woods.
That seems to be my show. It's because you know, I call it the hobo show because you never know where it wanders.
I thought we were gonna talk about survival tactics for the homeless or something.
You never know.
Yeah.
I was more
insulation underneath you.
Yeah.
Because the earth will suck the heat out. Okay, I'm
all right. Thank you for checking out the Fluffy Hobo Show. This was with Mark Merriwether and his book Forging. Links will be available for his YouTube channel in the description below. Until then, stay cool, fam.